Coming out of high school, the subject of today's video was one of the top running backs in the country, was headed to Ohio State, and was the future at that position. Some scouts compared him to the likes of Ezekiel Elliott, and whatever school he went to was getting a superstar. Unfortunately though, he would flip around from multiple schools, and after 3 years of college football, he's barely put any stats to his name and is not even currently on a roster. It's an unfortunate story for a player who had so much potential back in the day, and in today's video, we're going to talk about his rise, why the Ohio State era did not work out, and what eventually happened to him. But before we can get into it, nearly 80% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel, and you're not going to want to miss out on all the college football content coming your ways, so be sure to hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you want to support the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss when I upload. Now, let's get started. So you're probably wondering who the subject of today's video is, and it is none other than former Ohio State commit and Indiana and Purdue football running back Sampson James. But in order to understand what went wrong for Sampson James, we first need to go back in time. Football ran in the James family's blood, as he had 4 older brothers who actually played at the collegiate level. Montez Robinson played at Georgia, and then he had brothers who played at Auburn, Marshall, and Indiana State. This motivated him and set the tone for his career. He said, quote, 4 of my brothers have gone on to play Division I football. That's what I like to do. Sampson was always a big-time athlete, and he'd eventually go to Avon High School, which is located on the south side of Indianapolis. He began to show potential on the football field, but in order for Sampson to succeed, he would need a safe place to stay. After some home issues, Avon's head coach took him in, and they would develop a strong bond that would help him get far in football. James said, quote, Coach Bless, I have been living with him since my sophomore year of high school. He took me and 2 of my brothers in. We have a really strong relationship, like father, like son. Because he now had a safe place to live and his talent was able to be developed, he blew up. He ran for 1,782 yards and 20 touchdowns as a junior, and then also had a huge senior campaign. His junior campaign, though, would put him on the national radar. His first major offer would come on June 14th of 2017, as Coach Tom Allen offered him, and this actually came as a shock to James. His high school coach said, quote, he was shocked. I was like, dude, you are good. You're really good. But I think that's his personality. I think with all the college football recruiting, he feels a little bit embarrassed around his teammates about it, and he knows he has a very good offensive line in front of him and other skill guys people have to key on. This would be the first of many big-time offers for James, though, as he blew up into a top 3 player in the state of Indiana and was one of the top running backs in the country. He gained offers from schools such as Florida State, Georgia, Iowa, Michigan, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Penn State, Purdue, and Ohio State, and he'd have to choose where to go. He decided to commit to Ohio State and running backs coach Tony Alford, where Buckeyes fans compared him to Rod Smith with an element of Ezekiel Elliott. We all know that Zeke is one of the best running backs in program history, and to be compared to him means that his talent is held in pretty high regard. But why Ohio State? He said, quote, I felt a strong connection with Ohio State. My relationship with running backs coach Tony Alford was really strong, and so was my connection with head coach Urban Meyer. I felt like it was the best fit for me from the standpoint of developing as a player and getting to the next level. Besides that, there are great people and players there. I loved it. He had a home run visit and followed in the footsteps of Pete Werner, Austin Mack, and Terry McLaurin as other top Indiana high school players to go to Columbus. Except this one didn't last long. His commitment to the Buckeyes was short-lived though, as he would ultimately flip and make history. He said, quote, first of all, I want to thank God for the ability to play the game of football. It has been a crazy process, and I just want to thank my family, friends, and all of the coaches that believed in me as a player and a young man. With that being said, I'll be decommitting from Ohio State and committing to the Indiana University. I'm excited for the opportunity to become a part of a great program. He became the highest ranked running back in Indiana football history, and he wanted to create a legacy at Indiana. He said, quote, this is my hometown, my home state, so it means more to me. Fun fact, in high school, he played alongside a player by the name of Isaac Garendo, who now is at Wisconsin as a gadget receiver running back player. In terms of James, he was highly ranked. It was a huge deal for Indiana to keep him home, as according to 24/7 Sports, he was a 4-star recruit, the number 10 running back, and the 181st best player in the class of 2019. He would travel 45 miles south to Bloomington, where he would start his college career. But how would he do? 2019 would be the beginning of the resurgence of Indiana football and head coach Tom Allen. He was now going into year 3, and with offensive coordinator Kalen DeBoer, the team was expected to be good. Peyton Ramsey was the quarterback, Whop Phillier was the star receiver, and Stevie Scott was the main back. Sampson James would have an opportunity to play, as he would score his first touchdown against Eastern Illinois. A couple weeks later, he scored a touchdown against Rutgers, and at this point, Indiana was having a terrific season. They had 7 wins going into their final game against Purdue, and there would be an opportunity for James to put his name out on the map. Stevie Scott was ruled out, so James was made the starter, and he would have a terrific game against Purdue. He ran the ball 22 times for 118 yards and a touchdown as they won in double overtime on the road against their arch rival to get to win number 8. After his terrific game, he said, quote, "This means everything to me. It just shows how hard work pays off. I've worked hard in the weight room, on the field, and on my own. You have to be ready for your chance, and it definitely paid off." The Hoosiers would end up getting selected to play in the bowl game against Tennessee, where after squandering a late lead, would end up losing to the Volunteers and did not get to their 9th win. 2020 would ultimately be the breakout season for Indiana football, as led by quarterback Michael Penix Jr., they'd have an insane start to the season. They famously beat number 8 Penn State by a controversial 2-point conversion, and then also went on to beat a top 25 Michigan team. They'd have a top 10 matchup with Ohio State, where they were solidly getting beaten for most of the game, but had a late comeback and missed on an opportunity to win or send the game to overtime. James in 2020, though, did not have much of an impact. He finished with 96 total yards without a touchdown. The Hoosiers would play against Ole Miss in the Outback Bowl, where they would lose. Indiana and Tom Allen had their breakout season, but James was supposed to have his breakout season in 2021. Going into the year, Stevie Scott was now into the NFL, and he would battle it out with Tim Baldwin and former 5-star USC transfer Stephen Carr. It looked like James was going to be the guy, but then, right before the season started, he entered the portal. He decided that he did not want to be a part of the Indiana program anymore, and he would go to their arch rival, Purdue. The Boilermakers desperately needed help at the running back position, as they had not had a good running back since DJ Knox. Unfortunately, he was ruled ineligible for the season though because the transfer was so late, and he'd have to sit out the entire 2021 season. Purdue would end up having their best season in years as well, but with Xander Horvath off to the NFL draft, James should have had an opportunity to walk in and start right away for the Boilermakers in 2022. Except that didn't happen either. He would battle it out with guys such as Kobe Lewis, King Daru, and Dylan Downing, but James would enter the portal once again before the season started, and after waiting an entire year, he never even played. Currently, Purdue's running back situation is still not fixed, and with all the talent that Sampson had, I don't understand why he left. When you take a look at social media, it doesn't look like he is on to another team or another program, and for now, his name is just in the portal. This is one of those really curious cases where we really don't know what is going on. I mean, literally at one point, the guy was committed to Ohio State and was one of the top high school backs in the country. He showed flash in his first year at Indiana, but in the last 2.5 years, James has pretty much done nothing, has now transferred twice, and it looks like his college football career could be coming to an end soon. I definitely hope the best for him, as I'm a big fan of Indiana high school football, and this guy was awesome to watch, and I was totally pumped to see what he would do. It's an unfortunate situation, but I hope the best for him. And again, I don't have any knowledge and I'm not going to speculate. But what do you guys think? If you're an Indiana or Purdue or Ohio State fan, what do you think of the Sampson James situation? Who is another player I could take a look at in my next video? And who is another player who has become a bust? Be sure to let me know down below. Leave a like if you want to support the channel. Subscribe if you're new. And check out all my other videos on the end screen, including all my What Happened To videos. Hope to see you guys again soon. But until next time, peace.